Rev up your engines! Alright, today I got a 2012 Camry, and they're great cars, but everything breaks eventually. This one is hesitating, especially when it's cold. You get to 30 miles an hour, it starts bucking, it'll do it at 40, 50, so let's figure out what's wrong. First, let's look under the hood for obvious things. And when you're messing with cars, do what I just did. Always roll down the driver's window, because you don't want to lock the keys in the car. I've learned that from experience. It's a real handy thing. Unless it's pouring rain outside, roll that driver's window down and you're not going to get stranded. Now under the hood, we got a very reliable 4-cylinder, intelligent variable valve timing engine. They're not notorious for having any kind of problems. Sometimes people knock vacuum lines off, but I don't see anything that's been knocked off here. So, what we're going to do first is scan it. So we'll get our scan tool out here and we'll plug it in. We'll unplug this. This is one of these dongles. This particular one is the Verizon one. I don't advise using these. It's made in Mexico. So we'll plug it in. Now this car had this little dongle, the Verizon one. It says Verizon Telematics, made in Mexico. If I can't find anything wrong with the car and I leave this unplugged and the car stops doing that, this could actually be the problem. We don't know yet. We're going to do the auto scan, and it's US model. Got a dumb key, so without smart key. There we go. VIN 2012 Camry. Everything's there. So we'll do an automatic scan. But we don't care about the driver's door, air conditioner. She cares about the running. So we're going to look at the engine and ECT data. Put it on there. We will diagnose it. First thing we'll do is we'll read the trouble codes. And what do we got? Startability. Well, that happens when the battery gets low. Then it's got a code for crankshaft position sensor A. Startability again. And minimum stop performance of the throttle position sensor. And high fixation of communication line. Throttle position sensor is probably the most interesting one. It's a P2109. So let's go back to freeze frame. When it had the problem, you can see it was not misfiring. So it wasn't a misfire. It's not an ignition problem. So it's probably a fuel problem. And that's why it's jerking back and forth. As you can see here, the throttle position was at 0. Well, it was going down the road. It should have had some data to it. If it was at 0 when you're going down the road, electronic throttle's bad and it's not opening up, or more commonly, the sensor on your pedal, the accelerator pedal sensor, is not sending the information to the computer, so it's not opening the throttle, and that's going to make it bog down while you're trying to go down the road. We know it's a fuel problem for sure. And of course, it's not acting up now, so let's look at the live data anyway. Because you can see now, this is live data. As I step on the gas, it's showing that it's opening up as I step on it. You can feel a little hesitation though. Now I don't want to blow the engine up revving up, so I turn the car off with the key on. And now you'll see, as I step on the gas, it's opening up like it's supposed to. It doesn't seem to be sticking. It seems to be going okay. It opens, closes. I'm going to clean it, because it might get sticky and do that. We're going to get some cleaner out of here. Since the accelerator sensor is so expensive, almost 300 bills for the part, and they don't stock it at Toyota anyways. That's kind of a good thing. If they don't stock it, it usually means they don't go bad very often. It could be throttle's dirty, so we're going to take it apart and clean it. It could even be that the accelerator pedal connectors are bad, because it is an electronic sensor. You step on the accelerator, that makes it move. If you get a lot of water on your boots or rain and water gets in there, it could make the connectors get corroded. So I'm going to unplug it and check that too. But first we're going to clean the throttle. The simple things. Take the air box off, unclip it. Dirty air filters can cause problems, but this one's clean as can be. There's nothing wrong with that. Now the electronic throttle's back in there, so we'll take this ductwork off. To get that all out of the way, pull the hoses off, wiggle this a little, get that out of the way. It's all plastic, so we don't care. Then we gotta get down in there, get the big old duct off. There's a screw down there we unscrew, way down there. Once we've loosened the clamp, we can get this air duct out of the way. There's the throttle in there. And you can see, look how dirty it is. You can see there's a lot of black in there. You want to use throttle spray cleaner, that's what it's made for. Clean it all out. Get a piece of wood to jam it open so you can get to the edges where the dirt is. Don't want to damage the metal, the wood won't hurt anything. And as you can see now, how black it is inside, we got to clean the edge and everything with the spray cleaner. We spray it all over the place. Let it soak a little, especially do the front and back edges, because that's where it pivots. And you want to wipe and clean and wipe and clean. You can see all the black crud that's coming out of here. See how it says Oh, no adjustments needed, right? That's what it says right there. No adjustments needed. Well, there are things you have to do. Yeah, there's no such thing as a tune-up anymore. We used to clean the carburetors like that. We use carburetor spray cleaner. The throttles will get dirty. You do have to clean them every once in a while. This car is now 10 years old. It's probably never been cleaned. You do want to clean them every once in a while. You want to put it back together carefully. Make sure you get that tight. When you put it back on, it just snaps on. You heard it pop. And snap the top part on here. And make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want any air leaks here. Basically, you want to get it as tight as you can get it. And do the same thing on the bottom. It's got the same clamp. And double check everything. This hose here isn't on right. Make sure they're all on. You want to make sure everything's tight and there's no air leaks. Now, before I forget, when we check and clean the accelerator pedal sensor itself, we're going to reset the code, so when we road test it, it'll be neutral. Erase DTCs. It's erased, so we'll check system status, and no power chair free swing data is stored. So when we road test, it'll go from scratch. Well, now down to the accelerator pedal sensor. Well, as we go under, there's the pedal. The sensor's built in, so we'll unbolt it. Now here it is, right here, and you can see there's a wire up there. We just have to unplug that connector. It's hard to unplug them. I find these long pliers at 90 degrees can grab them better and pull them off. Then off it comes. Now what we want to check if there's corrosion inside here. We'll look inside, see if anything's corroded, but no. The connections are all shiny as can be, but what the heck? I got an electric cleaner. I might as well spray it and let it air dry a little. You never know. Basically, this is a fancy computer mouse. You step on the gas and it tells where this has moved. Tells the computer how far to open the throttle, then the electronic throttle opens. If my little cleaning trick didn't fix it, then it's going to need a new one of these, but these are almost 300 bucks. You could try different places, but I don't advise aftermarket on these things. You want to go OEM. It's so crucial to the driving of the vehicle. Now, maybe the throttle cleaner is going to fix it. We'll road test it. See what happens. The one good point is the Toyota dealers in town here do not stock it. They have to order it and have it shipped in. So that means they don't break all that often, because if they did, they'd have a ton of them in stock. So let's hope it was a dirty throttle. It was worth looking at this, because sometimes people spill water, ice gets off somebody's boots. You never know, but it may need a new one of these, which you can easily put on yourself, but maybe not. So let's put it back together and then road test it. Now, as you can see, it just snaps back in till it clicks. You put it in the top. There, it clicked. Now it's tight. And then we just bolt it back in place here. Just bolt it in nice and tight so it doesn't slip. Now we're close to the hood. Take it for a road test. Road trip. Now see if it starts. In this case, it starts right up. But if it doesn't start right back up, don't be surprised. Sometimes the cleaner is in the throttle. Give it a little gas and clear out the cleaner. But this one, since I did the accelerator pedal sensor last, the stuff that was in the throttle is evaporated, so it started right up. But if it doesn't, give it a little gas. Now, whenever you do anything like this, it's a good idea to drive it 20-30 minutes just to get some good data to see what's happening. Now we'll come to our little area here and we'll do through all the gears and see if it hesitates. Here we go. Got a little hesitation, and the check engine light is coming on. And when I've got it floored, it will not go over 49 miles an hour. And what came back? 32109. Throttle position. Let's look at the freeze frame data. Again, we have the throttle position sensor is not opening. So I push data recording. It's recording data now, and we'll drive it. Start accelerating. Of course, now it won't do it. Now it's cleared itself off and it stopped doing it. Ah. I felt a little hesitation, but not like it was. Let's try it again from a stop. Of course, now it's not doing it. It's cleared itself out. You notice the check engine light's off now too. It was on before. Well, so we know it's intermittent. It only happens when it's cold for a short time and then it goes away. Cleaning wasn't it. There's something wrong with the throttle system in this vehicle. So let's look at the data more to see if we can pinpoint it. Now, if we're lucky, maybe the computer set things wrong. So I'm resetting the learning value. this resets it back to the factory specs. See, it's resetting all the memory stuff, but as it says now, we have to drive it 15 minutes stop and go. So here we go again. And now it's tripping a code P2109, which is a problem with the throttle assembly itself. So before it had a code that's more related to the accelerator sensor on the accelerator pedal. Now the other end of it, it's got a code for that. Obviously there's electronic problems here. I've already checked the wiring. There's no problem with the wiring at either end. So either we got a problem with that whole system, both ends going bad, or often the main computer is going bad. So we're gonna have to wait till it acts up again and put my even fancier computer on. And with different codes coming up at different times, I'm leaning towards the computer. So what I said earlier, with this little Verizon dongle plugged into there, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this destroyed some of the operating circuits in the computer. I've seen that happen. Don't ever plug these things in and leave them in while you're driving. The systems aren't made for that. Getting the big boy out here, the most information we can get out. And it's 2012, and it was built in 0712, so it's this one. We're getting really specific here. Start with a smart scan. It does everything. We'll select them all, and we'll start recording them. Now it's recording it. So here we go. And we'll come to our little spot where we'll stop and take off again. Here we go. Acting up again. It won't go faster than 52 now. And again, once it's warmed up, when I step on the gas, it goes like stink and it works perfectly fine. It's only when it's cold. All the data, here it is, it plays back. And I like it in graphic form myself. Makes it more interesting. See, there's a glitch in the battery voltage. When we look further at the data, this is the accelerator sensors on the pedal. You can see the sensors, number 1 and number 2, are getting glitches in them. At the same time that the battery voltage is glitchy too. See, the accelerator position isn't smooth. It's very glitchy. Look at all the glitches. It's not smooth. Now look at the throttle position. The throttle command. Look at all the throttle positions. What happened there? See that the throttle position sensors are all mirroring each other like they're supposed to. The voltage seems to be changing some. The throttle itself is reacting correctly. They're all following each other, mirroring each other. To me, that's a sign the computer's been damaged because it's not sending the correct current out. When they get the current, they react, they mirror each other. It's not giving them the correct current. So in this case, I'd say it's going to need a computer, which is why I say never plug these stupid things in. This dongle was plugged in and it says, Verizon Telematics, made in Mexico. You don't want to plug these things in and leave them in a car when you're driving them. Personally, I do not use these cheaper ones. This is some kind of a fix-it thing. It's got a light bulb with a wrench in it. I don't use the cheap ones. The cheap ones can destroy your car. Now, you're not a mechanic. You're not going to buy one of these things that cost $6 grand or more. But at least get a decent scan tool if you're going to mess around with it. You can get scan tools from $50 to $250. You don't want to use a cheap one, and you certainly don't want to leave any dongle plugged in the car all the time you drive it. Even a good one could end up messing them up. These systems are made to diagnose. They're not made to be plugged in and driving the car the whole time while you're going down the road. They're not designed for that. And in this case, it's damaged the computer. Now, just to make sure it didn't have a battery or alternator problem, I checked it with my machine here, and it's perfectly fine. The battery's 100%. The alternator's putting out plenty of power. Unfortunately, that little dongle has messed with the computer, but at least it only acts up when it's cold. So let's hope it just messed with the cold start running of the vehicle. That when it's cold, it does it. Because once it's warmed up, I took it on a high where it runs like a scalded egg. It's got to be sitting for hours and hours before it'll act up again. And let's say it messed with the driver circuits for just the cold system. Once it starts and warms up, those driver circuits aren't used anymore. It uses other circuits, and now that I got the dongle unplugged, if it won't short out anymore, maybe it's drivable this way, that you would just warm the car up before you drive it, because it's going to be over $1,000 to replace the computer on this thing. Do not use one of these cheap scan dongles, and certainly don't use this or any other dongle and plug it into the OBD port of your car and drive it around for thousands of miles, because they're meant to diagnose the car, not to drive the car. So stay away from these things if you value the health of your car. In this case, the lady didn't even know this thing was plugged in there. Somebody had put it in. Don't ever do that. Don't make that mistake. Destroy something because of this. You know how many computers I've replaced on Toyotas because they wore out by themselves? 1 in 53 years. The only ones that I had to replace a lot of were ones that have been shorted out by dongles. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.